First things first, a little bit of background. In the mid-1960s, Turkish Airlines decided to buy DC-9s, nice little aircraft. And as the demand grew, they wanted to get wide-bodies because they can go farther. So they got the DC-10. These were pretty successful, but, time passes as time does tend to do. So these aircraft that used to reach North America and Asia got older. And they got expensive, and they need to be replaced. At the time, there were two planes that you really could consider, those being the McDonnell MD-11 and the Airbus A340. The MD-11 has got more modern technology and is more fuel efficient, but it was relatively expensive at the time, both to buy and operate, compared to the A340, which at the time as well was all new, very high tech, and much more efficient. Turkish decided that they would buy the A340, because it was cheaper and it was more advanced, so they ordered 9 of them. This will have consequences. It is February 27th, 1996. An A340 rolls off the production line. The 115th A340 build is delivered to Turkish Airlines and named Izmir. It was registered TCJDM. Such a lovable face, isn't it? Look at that.
She's a cute.
Nice little nose and all the eyes.
All the eyes, yes, the many eyes that make things cute.
Shortly after entering service, however, it began experiencing some unusual technical problems, shall we say. The seemingly bizarre nature of these problems led the plane to be nicknamed Deli Mike, which is Turkish for crazy or mad, depending on your translation, Mike. So, what could the plane possibly have done to get that nickname? Planes can be a nuisance sometimes, but they really don't get a nickname like Crazy Mike, just for nothing. So, the first thing it did, the staff quickly discovered that randomly the plane would turn on all of its outside lights. And then as soon as someone would come to investigate, it would turn them back off again.
That's so interesting.
That jokester.
Then other times, if you were inside the plane, it would turn on all of the overhead emergency exit signs one at a time from front to back, quote unquote, like a Mexican wave. As they got experience of the plane, this became a sign the plane was in a quote unquote good mood and cooperate with anything you wanted to do.
It's like saying hello as soon as you get on board. It's like, it's all right, are you gonna like me or are you gonna not? And it lights up the exit signs to say yes, I'm in a good mood today.
Yeah. Junior technicians also were not spared from the pranks. There was a junior technician who was, I'm pretty sure, on his first time with the plane, was in the cockpit working on one of the computer systems when suddenly the master alarm triggered, which caused the technician to run out of the cockpit in panic.
Are you making that noise?
Yes.
That is the master alarm.
That was the sound of an Airbus master alarm in the cockpit, which on those planes typically means there's either a major system fault or an engine's on fire.
It's just quirky. It's fine.
So one of the main problems was if you were sitting on your seat and you wanted to read, it'll turn on a random passenger's reading light. In case you wanted to call a flight attendant to ask what's going on, that also wouldn't work because the call flight attendant button went to a different random seat.
I forgot this was a passenger airliner. I was really hoping this was like cargo or something. I would never fly on a plane like this.
At some point, service technicians literally removed the entire computer and electrical system and factory reset all of the computers, and it didn't matter. It still happened. It just must be the plane then, because even if it was like a gremlin or a wiring problem, they removed literally everything, completely reinstalled it, and it didn't matter. Deli Mike happened to be opinionated about when it wanted to fly and where to go. If it didn't feel like flying today, it would most of the time just refuse to turn on. Or if you did manage to force it to turn on, sometimes it would, after a takeoff, it would refuse to retract its nose landing gear.
That's terrifying.
It's like, oh, we're flying to Berlin today, and Deli Mike's just like, no,
we're
did
not.
that last. No, we're not on board.
Try again next time. This was apparently such a persistent issue. It actually got a mention in the Turkish media itself. They were talking about Turkish Airlines having financial troubles at one point, and they pointed out that for some reason, quote unquote, the problematic plane is still flying, but all of the normal A340s are grounded for maintenance and storage. The staff said, Deli Mike can fly to the other side of the world without any problems if she wants to. But if she doesn't, she won't even move a meter on the ground. The plane also had a sensitive side. As in one case, there was a flight instrument fault while it was at maintenance, and one of the technicians had reportedly fixed it by patting the door and saying, "What happened to you, big man?"
Yeah. Oh, that's so cute.
Imagine being, you're a senior technician, you've worked with planes all your life, you probably have dozens of years of experience, all of the things, and then you get this plane, you're like, I know what to do. And then Deli Mike flew the next day, no problem. It was finally withdrawn after 22 years and 10 months of service. It was sent to South Africa, where it was then stored for a number of years during the pandemic and right after. And normally I would say this is where the story ends. It got broken up for scrap. But Deli Mike's not an ordinary plane. Sometime in 2022, it was purchased by a company in Burkina Faso. In flight over Iran, it declared an emergency along with three of its sisters. They then turned off their locator beacons and landed in Tehran. And it was later emerged that the Iranian government purchased these 4 aircraft, including Deli Mike, secretly. Deli Mike was then given over to the Iranian flag carrier, Mahan Air. It was repainted and then re-registered. And on March 19th, 2024, Deli Mike began service again. According to information I found, Deli Mike is scheduled to fly today from Tehran to Istanbul and then back.
Go.
And back to Turkey, obviously. Right back to Turkey.
It appears the personality is still there because the number of flights have returned to Iran after difficulties. This is actually a picture of the same plane back in Istanbul for his first flight there.
Do you think any of the technicians at any of the Turkish airports like see this plane come back and they're just like, yeah, that's your guys' problem now?
Probably. They probably fly it mostly to Turkey because they realized if it wants to go see its old friends again.
I'm just like picturing the first scenes from the first Transformers movie. Like he's just secretly a like Decepticon or something, hiding out in the airport,
Telling the Iranian pilot to exit the vehicle, and it's just a hologram in there.
Because the plane is in Iran and information is relatively scarce, you don't actually know what's going on with it, but you know that it does fly and it is still active, so it at least works. Also, quick update, Deli Mike is in the air after a 10-minute delay on the ground.
Yo, let's go.
As an engineer, Tim, what would your first instinct have been if you got a plane like this and it was having these issues? Do you return it? Do you try to diagnose it, or do you just let it fly because you wanted a cheap plane and it still flies sometimes?
Well, I mean, if you know the history and the fact that they've removed and replaced the complete computer and electrical system, and it still does this,
I would keep it, but just have it as like a pet.
A pet?
yeah, I mean, like you...
It's an expensive pet.
Well, you say that, but I mean, used A340s aren't that expensive anymore, relatively speaking.
So if we all
If you
pitch
had-
in,
If you had $10 million, yes.
because like honestly, if we were like ultra rich and whatnot, I could totally see us pooling our money together to like
Yeah.
buy a property to store this plane on, and then convert the interior into like some sort of like podcast studio or something.
All right,
That would
Swag
be
Crew.
sick.
Okay, we're doing a GoFundMe
To buy Deli Mike
buy Deli Mike
from the Iranian government.
Deli Mike is now landing in Istanbul.
Fantastic.
Arrived home 40 minutes early, actually.
One entire presentation's length, Deli Mike managed to take off and land safely. Let's give it up for Deli Mike.
Woo! All right.
Give it up.
What if it's me looking down on me? The world above must also be. This could go on for infinity. Day